as the prelims is fast approaching, the more closer you get to the date, the more stress is what you will have in your mind. Now that is exactly the enemy of yours. More stress means more brain focus on the stress, on the fear, and less focus on remembering the thing, staying calm, and actually getting the information which is already there in your mind to be able to solve the question. So at this moment of time, any and every serious aspirant that is there needs to ensure that they keep their stress levels to the bare minimum as possible, so that it does not affect you. Now on the day of the exam, all bets will be off. It will not much matter that someone studied slightly more than you or someone studied slightly lesser than you. What would matter is what do you do in those 2 hours that is given to you. And now less than 10 days are remaining, so it's very important that in the last 10 days what you should do and you should not, in order to keep your stress to the bare minimum, in fact to not have any stress at all. And if you can do that, that will be a game changer for you. That can actually basically the stress can actually break it, and the lack of it can actually make your selection for the next round, that is mains. So in this video, give your 25-30 minutes to this video in order to understand what you are required to do and not, in order to ensure that the stress that you have is reduced, right? So let's get started with the details which are there in this. Now the first thing is, the stress which is there is actually a very normal thing. In fact, a person who is not having a stress probably is a person who is not even a serious aspirant. That's a possibility. Of course, there can be certain aspirants who might feel really very confident and may not have any stress, but they are far apart. Majorly, almost all the aspirants who have been serious for their studies will be having stress, and congratulations, that is something normal, shows that you are basically in the normal state of affairs. So first, understand that this stress is normal. Now what is developing this stress in you? The first thing that you will think is that you may forget. You keep on remembering every time that you may forget the things, but do not worry. Why do you feel that you will forget? Because on your own you are not recollecting things, so you are not remembering things, so you are having a fear that you will forget. But the moment in prelims the answer is in front of you, the moment the topic, the theme, the question is asked along with the options, it triggers your involuntary mind itself, voluntary as well as involuntary, conscious as well as subconscious mind, to get that information in front and give you that information to solve the question. So this you will also see in your test series when you are solving the test as well, right? So do not worry, trust your brain, trust your mind, trust me that you have not forgotten, provided you have read it and you have revised it multiple times. See, if someone is saying I have read it just once and I'm having a fear of forgetting, sorry, you are actually not going to remember it. Multiple revisions. So all these things that I am going to tell is going to apply for aspirants who have been serious and who have been consistent and who have done what it takes to be in the race. Now what is being told here is the thing that is going to help you clear the race. So you have the fear of forgetting, but don't worry. If you have read and revised multiple times, do not worry, you will remember when the question appears. Next, the fear of negative marking, right? See, if you get a question right, 2 marks for correct, but 0.67 for incorrect, so that's a gap of 2.67 marks, which is very difficult to gain over others in the paper, especially if you get the easy question incorrect, or if let's say get driven with emotions or intuition and all you may call, and then you may simply randomly attempt a question that you shouldn't probably. So what is that you should follow over here? Don't worry about the negative marking. Why? Because it's there for everyone. It's not exclusively for you. It's there for everyone, so there is nothing to worry about over here as such, right? Then what is the, how do you address this worry? You can address this worry by following a simple principle. What is that principle? If you know the answer, you eliminate all the three options, you are left with one answer option, that is your answer is what you're considering, of course you will mark. But in addition to that, mark only those answers or questions in which you are left with two options. What does that mean? That means if in a question you have not been able to eliminate any single option, no need to, you should not mark it just on a hunch. If you are left with three options, probably not preferable to mark that as well. Probability wise, it's not going to benefit you. Mark only if you are left with two options. Now that does not mean that you eliminate the two options just randomly as such. Is that clear? Then how do you basically eliminate? Either by fact, by concept, by application of genuine knowledge, not just based on the gut feeling, etc. So this fear should also be taken care of if you follow this simple principle. Then fear of missing the cutoff by 1 to 2 marks. See, no one knows the cutoff. Right now, worrying about the cutoff is not going to cut it. You can start worrying about the cutoff later. In fact, even after the exam, if you are thinking you are there and there about, do not worry, because you'll have to start the means preparation. And right now is not even the time. No one knows the cutoff, no one knows the type of question paper, etc., etc. So worrying about the cutoff is something that is not in your control. If it is not in your control, you don't have to worry about it. Next is the anxiety seeing others revise too much. See, that will also happen because it's a competitive exam. You will see others are revising more than me. Others you may think know more than you. They may send you certain questions whose answer you don't know. They know it, so on and so forth. Do not worry about it. I used to do just one simple thing. One of my friend, he sent me a question and I did not know answer to that. That's all right. It was just 2-3 days before the exam. That's all right. Why? Because I thought, okay, I did not know it previously. Now I know it. So that is one advantage that I gained over that person. Is that correct? Right. And another way was to think that this will not be asked at all. And that makes you feel better. And very high probability that that particular question or topic would not be asked, of course. Right. So that helps you to get out of this stress which is there. Okay. Now, if you are having stress, that of course does not mean that you are unprepared. In fact, it means that you are prepared, you are taking that examination seriously, and the exam actually matters to you. That is why you are worried, or else why will you be worried? Okay. And as I said, stress is common, so you're not alone. Of course, you have to stay calm. And of course, trust your brain, trust your preparation as well. Next very important thing is to stop studying. Now stop studying, don't stop studying 10 days before. Right now, by stop studying, what I mean is stop studying the new things that are there. Avoid any new sources, any random sources, new sources for the same thing, for the same current affairs. Avoid all that. There is a concept of pictorial memory also. You might have read it from a particular PDF, particular copy. It gives you a pictorial memory also. Don't read the same news, same thing from other sources, not required. Also, do not start any new resources as well. So in the final days, you should not start new sources, right? Also, too much of continuous watching also you can avoid, unless and until there are certain subjects in which, let's say, you feel that in economy it's too technical, I need to revise it. Fair enough, go ahead with this, right? But you have to pick and choose what to watch, what video to watch. Too much of content will be basically pushed onto you. Please avoid that. Self study, reading, revising multiple times from your sources is going to help you. And of course, do not compare the preparation on Telegram or any other social. This is one just simple example. Any other social media or through any of your friends, etc. Do not compare at all. You may feel that they are more ready, but still you may clear it. At times you may feel you are more ready, they are not. They may end up clearing it. Why? Because they are maintaining their calm composure and following certain principles. Now what you should do is consolidation. Consolidation as in consolidate what you know, strengthen what you know, right? Make sure that the things that you know, that the things in which your strength lies, you get them absolutely right. Right? So that is what you should do. Next is calmness. You have to ensure that you are calm, right? You cannot be in too much of panic mode. You cannot be paying heed to too much of noise around you. You have to be calm. You must be already having a schedule, let's say a daily plan, and the goals that you have set up. Keep on quietly doing that. Do not make any more changes in that. Okay? Unless and until you are following a completely useless plan, don't do that. Of course, I'm sure that you would have had the guidance, right? So you would be following a proper plan. Stick to it. No changes, no chaos. And the recall efficiency, the recall efficiency you need to train in the sense that whatever notes you might have made, handwritten notes for confusing topic, for topics that are scattered throughout, which you keep on forgetting, so you can browse through them quickly. So it leads to higher efficiency, higher density of knowledge going into you, right? And also try to recall. If you're reading a topic, just think to yourself what all was in that and what all was in the subtopics that were there, what all was. So it's like a mind map, mind palace kind of a connection you might have to create. Don't start learning about mind palace, but just ensure that you are recollecting. After you look at the topic, just think. Let's say inflation, what all you know about inflation. The base year has changed to 2024. In that, what all has changed? For example, OTTs have been added, CDs and all have been removed, the rural rent has been coming for the first time now. All those things you recollect, so that is going to make your recall game stronger. Okay. Next, follow the light revision rule. Now, what do you mean by light revision rule? See, you cannot now take out a polity book, a bulky polity book, and read end to end. Read word by word, sentence by sentence, chapter by chapter. No, here your notes. Now, notes need not necessarily be you have to make notes of the entire Lakshmikant, for example. That's not possible, probably not advisable, because the entire book is notes. But you might have highlighted, marked, star marked, right? All those things. So that kind of light revision, at the same time, light revision as in light in the time consumption, not light completely with respect to of no value or diluted version. Absolutely not. In addition to that, you will have your notes, etc., of certain topics, certain subjects, certain micro topics that you have made, species in news, places in news, space missions, which mission to which country. All those things is what you have to revise. So short notes, quick, crisp and easy recall, all those things you have to do. Okay, is that clear? Then you have the mistakes notebook. For example, here, you might have given test series, so you know what questions you got wrong, incorrect. You can probably revise those, because now the time is less, right? So you can revise those mistakes that you have done in your test series, or the mistakes that you generally often make, or the topics in which you are weak. So those things can be done. Okay, now PYQ pattern, I hope you would have followed the PYQ lectures that were there, so you would already know the trend that has been there, and you have to understand and the trends, of course, because the themes are important and the trends repeat, which you should already be aware of. So why this is important? Because since you know this, so your revision should also be in sync with the trend that is there. Now, that is not to say leave certain things. Of course not. You have read, revised multiple times the entire syllabus. Now is the time to focus on the high yielding topic. Okay? Then the factual triggers, right? For example, dates, terms, keywords, reports, indices. Now, when I say date, it's not that the exact date, but at least the chronology you should know, so that you know what had come before and what came later. That's all. Then the terms, the reports, indices, etc., which all are in news. That is important. Any keyword being in news, you should know what is the concept. For example, last year they asked circular economy. It was in news, right? One of the minister mentioned about India focusing on circular economy. So they asked, which of the following best describes circular economy? So these kind of things are important. Throughout the year, you might have made notes, earmark them, read them, revise them. Then you have schemes, maps, and environment lists, convention lists. These are high yield and easy to recall topics. So in schemes, what is the scheme, which ministry have brought it out, what are the provisions in it, like what benefits you will be given, what are the criteria based on which a person is eligible or not. That's it. Reports and indices, which organization brings it out, and let's say if it's a index. So what is India's ranking? Did we improve? Did we worsen? Who's the top 3 country? What are the criteria to measure it? That is all that you have to remember, and that organization where it is headquartered, right? Now what you have to avoid is the heavy textbook, too much of reading, end-to-end reading, word-to-word reading, sentence-to-sentence reading. All of these things needs to be avoided. Also avoid any random PDFs. Many institutes are not going to compile. See, for some of the aspirants who have not maybe not studied current affairs at all, still think that they can still somehow clear. So for them, anyhow, from no matter where they read the current affairs, it's new only, so fine, they can read it from there. But you have been serious. If you have been serious, avoid any random PDF that is being circulating. Nothing is going to be a panacea that is going to get you the marks, right? So avoid all that. Then the difficult mock papers, right? Very, very important. A lot of institutes do this. I myself had solved a paper just a week before the prelims, right, in 2016. I scored around 54 marks in that paper. Imagine how much demotivated I could have been. But I was like, no, throughout the paper, they try to manipulate every single question with the minutest of facts. So, being smart enough to understand that this is not the way forward over there as such. Is that clear? That's not the way forward. That's not how UPSC asks, and you don't have to worry about that as well. In prelims of UPSC, I ended up scoring 128.33 marks. So all these things don't define unnecessarily. Institutes making it difficult does not make any difference. Don't worry about it, right? So avoid these kind of mock tests that are there. You all in the market, you already know who all do this, so just avoid that. Okay. Surely. Let's move ahead. Now, next is reduce the information noise that would be there, right? Information noise, as in a lot of videos and all will do the round, the topper score discussion and all that thing is gone. You should have done that before. If you have done it, good. If not, leave it. Don't start doing it now. Don't keep on worrying about the cutoff and all. Immediately after the prelims paper, people will start discussing. You still have CSAT. After GS paper, you have CSAT, so prepare for that. After all that, you will have mains, so prepare for that. So all this should never be discussed. And this, right, avoid any panic based thumbnails that are there on the YouTube. You can see shocking paper leak, you will click on that, you will waste your time. Engagement, the algorithm will keep on working like that and engage you in these things. Please avoid that. Okay, it is not a neat paper that will be leaked, and anyhow, if it does, it's not under your control. Please remember that. Okay, so you should avoid these things. Next is sleep. So sleep is basically more important than one more revision. Okay, very important. It's scientifically important because when you sleep well, when your body is rested well, your mind remembers better, recollects better. That's a scientific fact. It's not an opinion. So if your brain is a tired brain, it misreads question, it is half asleep, right? You will not see the word not mentioned, you will not see the word incorrect mention. Why do these things happen? Because of tiredness of the brain. You may fall into the trap, you may be attracted to the statements which traps you, right? And you will start to make a lot of silly mistakes, as a result of which, please ensure that you sleep well. And some of the students, very important thing, if you have a sleep cycle which has been disturbed, or your sleep cycle was such that you are awake at night and you are sleeping in the day, now is the perfect time to change that circadian cycle or the sleep cycle that you have, and suit it to the UPSC prelims paper. So let's say you have not slept the entire night. Today day you would be sleeping. If you keep on practicing that, then what will happen on the prelims exam? You may not sleep, you may still be aware, but your mind will be half asleep, because the mind would be used to it. So change it. If you didn't sleep yesterday, throughout the night, sleep a bit but still be awake. Study so that at night you will get the proper sleep, and then tomorrow onwards sort of change that cycle of yours. Okay, you can also take help of basically the doctors in order to ensure how to change your sleep cycle. Please do that. Okay. So another thing is the day before. So now only change your cycle, but at the same time, before the day of the exam, your mind has to be well rested, your body has to be well rested, so that you remember better, right? So you have to have a nice 7-8 hours of peaceful sleep. Okay. Next, control what you can control and forget the things that you cannot control. It cannot be more simpler than that. So let's see what you can control. You can control your calmness. Now you may think, sir, calmness cannot be controlled. I automatically get panic. No, I do understand that involuntarily also you are getting panic. But if you follow certain things, as I said, fear of negative marks, if you know this is the principle I follow, so why do I have to fear the negative marks? I will solve only if 2 options are remaining, else if more than 2 options are remaining, I will not solve. Don't worry about the negative mark. In the same manner, you can be training yourself to be calm, and even if training may require a longer time, even now, if I tell you things, if you keep on thinking that, you will be calm. See, first thing first is, do not play the occasion, play the exam. Occasion means do not play the occasion, means do not get overwhelmed by the occasion, right? So for example, if it's a cricket world cup, right, so Indian team lost the cricket world cup 50 overs finals to Indian men's cricket team, they lost it to Australia. No, not necessarily they did that, but what happens generally in such a crucial matches, you play the occasion. Oh my god, it is a world cup, if I win this, if I don't win that, you're putting unnecessarily additional pressure. You have done whatever you could, now simply go and take it as any other test. That's all. So that will help you calm it down. Question selection is in your control. Why is that important? What questions to attempt, what not to attempt, what to leave, important. Increasing the marks by solving the questions correctly is there. Also reducing the marks by avoiding incorrect answers is also there. So use the principle, more than 2 options, avoid it, right? And if you don't know the thing, you at times the question might be very factual, you actually don't know, respect it and move ahead. Do not take it into your ego. No, I have done this micro topic, I should solve it, even though I'm not able to eliminate a single option, still I will solve it. Avoid all those ego solving, etc. So select them properly. Time management you could do. Last year many people said that they found time to be less even in their GS paper. Please avoid that. Please have a analog watch which you are allowed to take and keep it in front, so that you keep a track of the question, the time, so that it should not happen that you have gone through the question paper, only 5 minutes are remaining and you have not filled the OMRs. That kind of situation should not happen at all. Then avoid panicking. I'll tell you specific scenarios. What happened with me is, I opened the paper, left hand side 3 questions, right hand side another 3 questions, 6 questions. I knew answer of only one. Rest of the 5 I did not know at all. Mind was not working. I could panic, but I did not. Why? I thought to myself, I actually literally inside my head thought really loud in my head that there are still 94 questions remaining. I cannot panic, because if I do, I will hamper the remaining 94 questions. In fact, after I kept on solving at around 40 to 50 question mark, one after one, I was knowing the answer to all of them, 6, 7 continuous questions. Again, I did not get too excited also. Why? Maybe others are also solving, right? You never know. And it's of 100 questions, not these 6, 7. So just keep going, just keep going. So maintain your calmness the same, whether you are able to solve continuous 10 questions, whether you are not able to solve continuous 10 questions, that is all right. And interestingly, after going through the paper once completely and then coming back from those remaining 5 questions which I did not know, I could solve 3 more, right? So out of 6, actually 5 I ended up 4 I ended up solving, and that too correctly. So just have patience, do not panic, please. Now, what are the things that you cannot control? The things that you cannot control is the difficulty level. You cannot, and you don't, there's no need, that's not an issue. Why? It's comparative. If it is difficult for you, it will be difficult for everyone else as well. Of course, there are certain strength subjects of strength and weakness. Your polity is strong, that is easy. Your art and culture was weak, so you could have got easy questions and solved, but you got difficult questions which others solved, you did not. All those permutations and combination is going to be there, but over a span of 100 questions and all those things, it sort of evens out. Even if it does not, more or less, sometimes you get something in your favor, sometimes you don't. It's a part and parcel of the present dynamics, right? So just don't worry about the difficulty level, don't worry about the cutoff. I've said this as well. And do not worry about the surprises by UPSC. For example, last year there were 3 columns of match the following. It's all right. Is that it's the same for everyone, right? So just stay calm and try to solve. Now, the final message, right? So the final message is what? You do not need perfection. Absolutely not. Out of 100 questions that have been asked, with respect to 20 questions, I had literally no clue what those 20 questions are about. What is the theme? What is the topic? They say that it was frequently in news. I don't know. I have never heard about that. And that is all right. It's not an exam of perfection at all. Right? So perfection is not what is needed. What is needed is, first, clarity. Know what you should do, what you should avoid in the last 10 days. Also during the exam, know what questions to solve, what questions to avoid at that time as well. I hope that is clear. Next is composure. Stay calm, confident, steady. If you are panicking too much, give 10-15 minutes or some time to practicing meditation, etc., which helps you calm down, right? It will help you basically solve the questions better. It is required. Whatever helps you meditate or keep your mind calm. Maybe a meditation as one example is what I get, or maybe doing a bit of worship of the God you believe in. Anything that makes you calm, etc., you should be doing that, right? So that you solve the question better. Then smart decision making, very important. As I said, avoid ego solving of the questions. Choose the questions which you can solve, avoid the questions which you can't. Avoid the questions in which you are not able to eliminate any one option, not even a single option. You did not eliminate any option or not even a single, that means you are left with 3 options or 4 options. Avoid all that. Okay? So you have to be very smart. And then emotional balance, which helps you handle the pressure and stay even. Emotional balance, as in I said, it's not just one way, it can be the other way. Not just one way in the sense that you are not able to solve, so you are getting fearful. Of course, that you have to avoid, but at the same time, if you keep on solving, that's good. That 2, 3, 4, 5 continuous questions you think that you know and you are marking them correct, and you think you are marking them correct, do not be too happy, because that will also make you complacent. Is that absolutely clear? And for the thing in your examination, please make one point clear. Do not immediately fill the OMR sheet. Looking at question number 1, immediately don't try to fill the OMR sheet, because if you just look at the question, solve it and fill it, keep on doing that, a lot of silly mistakes will go in the OMR sheet. You might have missed out incorrect, not correct, all those kind of details in the question, or maybe some other thing. And also when you read the entire question paper once you get a more amount of knowledge, and the subconscious mind also works to bring all the details in front, so you are in a better position in the second iteration, right? So do that. Only in the second or the third iteration you actually start marking the bubble. But while doing that, ensure that you are keeping a track of the time. It should not happen that you waited for the second iteration and the time got over. That should not happen. You should be smart enough to track the time as well. And an value added point I'm going to tell you over here is, people also ask, sir, what should I study on the last day? So on the last day or during, I'll tell you, and while you are going for the exam. So on the last day, avoid, as in I have completed my revision, now on the last day, what else should I study? So you are taking only one subject's book and studying, not good enough, because that subject, even if it is polity or economy, maybe 15%, 20% questions, but what about the rest? And so what you should do is very high yielding things. Maybe you have made notes of a lot of things that I have already talked about, maybe you do that. Okay? Or maybe in spectrum you have the summary at the end of the chapter, keep on reading the summary, open polity, Lakshmikant, look at the high yielding topics, keep on reading, browsing through them, open economy, look at the high yielding topics, browse through them, these things. Now on the day of the exam, what you should do is everything normal. You wake up, right, you freshen up, you basically get dressed up, you have nice let's say breakfast properly. Don't eat too unhygienic, unhealthy, don't overeat, avoid that. Eat a proper small Indian breakfast that you would do, right? Indian breakfast as in whatever is we are habitual of eating. That's it. Nothing extraordinary is needed. Maybe you have a bit of curd with sugar, which is also a tradition of ours, which literally helps. Right? It also gives calmness also to you. So do those things and normally go to the examination hall to give the exam. Now here two approaches can be there. Some of the people a day before the exam they stop reading. If that suits them psychologically, they are calm in that way, do that. Some of the students might be wanting to read till the time they enter the examination hall. That is also not a problem, right? So you might, but it's just that you should not be panicking. So you might have certain 10-15 pages of notes, keep on reading that. You might, your parents or someone would be dropping you or sitting in the car, or nicely with seat belts, so just go through them. Who knows what comes. So if you are someone who stops the preparation and on the day of the exam do not even look at it, that is also fair enough. You are someone who keeps on looking till the time you have to enter and keep everything inside, that is also fair enough. What suits you, you would have been doing that since the beginning of the exams that you are giving, in your schools, in your colleges, in your degrees, in your masters, in your practicals. So whatever you have done, whatever suits you, it is completely all right. For example, for a person like me, not touching the book on the day in the morning of the exam may not give me peace of mind. So for my peace of mind, it's very important that I refer. For someone else, it will be important for them to keep it aside to give them the peace of mind. So it is good for them. So you understand what is good for you and you do that. The idea is to ensure that you are calm and do not panic at all, because that, guys, is going to decide who gets selected and who does not. It's not a mere exam of knowledge. It is also a test of your patience, of your resilience, of your calmness, and how do you react in a situation wherein panic would have been the norm. All right. So here, on behalf of the entire team of Legacy IAS Academy, I wish that you all follow these things and give your best, and I wish you all the very best for your upcoming prelims examination. Thank you.